Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I want to come right out and say that what happened on September 11th was horrible, reprehensible. It was just evil. It shouldn't have been done. The Boston bombings, the same thing. I say that because I'm I'm Muslim and I identify with the Republican Party. I'm conservative, and I watch a lot of Fox News and Bill O'Reilly. I watch Bill O'Reilly almost every night. And he's always saying that Muslims never come out and say that what happened on 9/11 was bad. And, you get a lot of political pundits like Bob Beckel who say the same thing. And I just disagree. A lot of Muslims know that what happened on 9/11 was a bad thing. I think that being Muslim, we just have a different perspective on these things. You know, um, Bill Maher is another guy I watch a lot. I try not to miss an episode, and I just feel like when it comes to Muslims, there's an unfair how we're portrayed in the media is very unfair. Um, I think a lot of times people who come on the show to try to defend Muslims get trampled by Mauer and O'Reilly because they always throw numbers at us. 90% of terrorist acts are done by radical Muslims, and then Fox had this poll that they they polled the Muslim countries and asked about honor killings and jihad and things of that nature. And looking at that is horrible. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in honor killings. I've never read that in the Quran. So I'm like, wow. But there's never a control. You know, I was taught that honor killings is more of a traditional thing that just happens in the Middle Eastern countries. So I would like to see Fox News do the responsible thing and maybe poll the Christians and other religious groups in the same areas, so we get control. I'm not saying that the numbers will be even, but I'm not saying that they won't be even. I would just like to know if they are. I would like some type of control for that. You know what I'm saying? So then it wouldn't look like such Muslim thing. It would look like more of a regional thing, if I'm correct. But I don't know if I'm correct because no one thinks of things like that. They got geniuses over at Fox News. And I don't mean that and I'm not trying to be facetious. I really think that there are some brilliant minds over at Fox News. I don't always agree with what they think or how they think, but I'm able to admit that they are intelligent people. Another thing, it's weird to me that conservatives aren't smart enough to see this. And I don't know that if the Muslim demographic isn't large enough or what, but a lot of Muslims identify more with the Republican Party. A lot of Muslims are conservative, pro life, smaller government, pro family, things of that nature, and they it's hard to identify with a party that outright attacks you. You know what I'm saying? Like Republican senators make it no, they don't hide the fact that they hate Muslims, and it's just hard for a Muslim to identify with a party that hates you. You know what I'm saying? So in essence, the Republican Party is turning its back on votes and votes that they really need. Like the Republican base is getting smaller and smaller. You have to appeal to a broader demographic than just white men. They're becoming extinct. We need for the leaders of the Republican Party to reach out to a broader demographic than just old white men. If we ever want to take control of the House, Senate, presidency again. It's crazy that you guys don't see that. Another thing is, I don't think that people realize that we are at war with Muslim countries. And I think if you take that fact and you just step back and think about that, then of course a lot of the terrorism will come from Muslims. We're at war with Muslims. I do a lot of reading, and I know that there was a SEAL team in a village. I can't remember its name, probably some Urkistan or Ikakistan or something to that effect. And they got bad intelligence. They kicked down a hut. They killed 2 pregnant women. And then they tried to cover it up as honor killings, as jihad. And I don't know how often that happens, but I know a lot of people don't even know that happened. And with the drone strikes, You know what I'm saying? I'm not against drones. I understand that an unarmed aerial assault weapon is a lot safer in regards to our troops. You know, but they kill innocent people, and then you have to think like, how does that affect someone who was an American friendly? You know what I'm saying? You kick down. I invite you to live in my house, and while I'm gone, you kill my wife. Who's going to be okay with that? You know what I'm saying? Like the retaliation from that has nothing to do with Islam. That's a man being upset because his wife is gone. Things like that happen. There are uh, uh, a lot of injustices that happen over there that we never hear about, and retaliation from that gets mixed in with jihad. And another thing about jihad, jihad means to struggle in the cause of God. There's an Islamic quote from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that says, "The ink of a scholar is worth more than the blood of a martyr." What I'm doing right now is a form of jihad. No one's getting hurt, and it's better. It's better. So I don't understand how the Muslims say that what they're doing is jihad. I don't even know where God is in this jihad. Where is God? You know what I'm saying? How are you fighting in the cause of God? God doesn't fly flags. There are no flags in heaven. There's no patriotism in heaven. I don't understand that part at all. And I try to wrap my mind around things, and I try to stand back and see things from a greater perspective. And I know that people are capable of doing this. And I know some things are politically motivated and that you have to entertain your base. However, I just don't. I see political pundits all day criticizing rappers and saying that they have a responsibility to entertain the people who, by the mute, not entertain, but educate, I guess. What they say is heard by millions of youth, and it's a cycle that's perpetuated, and it's violence and demeaning women and so on and so forth, and that the artists, the rappers, should be responsible for that. And I agree. But then it's like then the hypocrisy comes in to play with Fox News because they spew hatred towards Muslims, you know, and then they act like their viewers don't hear that. And I would just ask that you guys take that same responsibility that you talk about with the rappers. There was a Toledo arsonist. He was trying to set a mosque on fire, and he says that they asked him, why don't you like Muslims? And he says, I don't know. I just know what I hear on Fox News. And even if you don't think that what you're saying over at Fox is that incendiary, I would think that after you hear a report like that, you would take a step back and say, wow, maybe we are, sending the wrong message. I just want you to be as responsible as you want everyone else to be, is what I'm saying, I guess, in regards to that. And then there's how the media portrays Muslims. I understand that you attach every bad thing that happens. Like I was at the barbershop, and I don't know if this story is true or not, but the fact that everyone at the barbershop thought it was true to me speaks volumes. There was a story about a Muslim youth, maybe 10 or 11. He stole candy out of a 7-Eleven or something like that, and they were saying that he was stealing money. He was stealing to raise money for Al Qaeda or Al Sharia or something like that. And it was like, and people believed, I don't know if the guy who said it was telling the truth. Like I said, people actually believed that. And it's like, no matter what crime a Muslim commits, it's blamed on Islam. There just aren't such thing as crazy Muslims or people who identify themselves as Muslims. That doesn't happen. And every crime a Muslim commits, it's known that the person is Muslim. I was watching a show called The Newsroom. It's a very good show. I think one of the producers, they were having a spitball, and they were all sitting around the table, and they were trying to develop stories. And a Muslim man had set a building on fire, and the headline was going to read that Muslim man sets building on fire. I don't know why I had to say, and I know this isn't real, this is fiction, but I believe that things like this happen. So I'm using this as an example because I've never been inside an actual newsroom. So Muslim man sets building on fire, and then she was like, well, in the story we should say that the Muslim guy called the police and saved the day. And they were like, why do we need to know the religion of the guy who saved the day? And she was like, the same reason we need to know the religion of the guy, of the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow, and everybody's like, wow, that actually makes sense. Like, no one ever thought of that before, so that was wild. And I'm saying that in America, if we started reporting the religion of everyone who ever commits a crime, then Christians will look like the boogeyman. And I'm not even talking about by numbers, I'm talking about by percentage. Because there are more Christians, I believe, in America than there are Muslims. So by percentage, Christians will look like the boogeyman as well. So I just, I might not made the best points, but I tried my best, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to edit this. This is just me off the top speaking about what I see and, how I feel about it. And so I think if some of those things are addressed, maybe Muslims wouldn't be so scary. And just, to reiterate, the attacks on the towers were horrible. Any killing innocent people, you know what I'm saying? I understand we're at war, but war should be fought on the battlefield, I guess, even though the battlefield is your home. And, I hope that this, you know, gets out to people and people get a different perspective on, you know, how Muslims are. So, inshallah, this will do some good and not much evil, I guess. Thanks for listening.